And we are live, according to the YouTube machine. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off Centered, starring Flipping Steve, future champ, Neo Cards and Comics, and your host and the chat master.
The chat master.
I'm here, chat master.
Chat master.
I just want to say I managed a chat with over 300 and some people in it last night.
I will actually back up. The way that you managed the chat is you skipped over 3 of my comments. They did not make it on the screen. I was paying very close attention, and you skipped right over me. 3 different.
Oh, you got to super chat it, man. You did throw him $1 or something?
No, he pulled up.
That's all some super chats popping up there.
Here's the deal: when he's hanging out with his comic book buddies, then he's too cool. He's too cool for me when he's hanging out with his comic.
Well, you were on some fake burner account. You weren't even on your real account.
I turned the live stream on for a little bit.
I'm on my second channel that I'm building, and you weren't helping me.
So and I was like, Neo's not even going to acknowledge me tonight. I was going to put something on there along the line, on the fantasy football note. And I was like, he's going to skip right by this.
I thought he wouldn't.
Comic book friends don't know anything about it.
I thought after last night's stream with the comic book buddies, he was just going to skip out on this thing, but. Here he
Swaggle's a big 49ers guy. We had a long 49ers
chat.
Man,
there you go. Is he picking up Brock Purdy? Are you getting him into Brock Purdy rookies?
Hey, I don't know about you guys, but after
0 now.
What night was that? Was that Sunday night? Monday night? What night I don't know. Whatever night that happened, Brock Purdy forgot about it, just like I did. I think we should roll Sam Darnold out there next week for the old 49ers.
What's funny is they showed him on the bench.
They might.
And I was thinking, Steve is like, please, God, let them put in Darnold. I know that's what you were thinking.
They did. They put Darnold in, and he scored a touchdown.
Did he really? Oh, I didn't watch that far.
Yeah, to Ricky Bell or Ronnie Bell or something, some other backup receiver. They may have been playing against the Ravens' backup defense. I'm not sure. But he did go down and score a touchdown.
Immediately go live. Damn Darnold. Damn Darnold cards time.
Well, I think if they had a chance to win it, I think Purdy could have went back in, but he did get banged up. I think he had like a shoulder stinger or something. But this was after his 4 interceptions came prior to the shoulder stinger.
The funny thing about Purdy is, I swear, this guy is either like the worst system quarterback. This guy sucks, and then the next week it's like, I told you, he's legit. I told you.
Like he looks.
I told you. Like nobody can make up their mind.
It's because it's kind of hard because there's so many variables around him.
Here's the thing, though. This guy, have you ever seen a QB like this to where, like, I mean, look, guys have bad games. Like, guys throw 3 picks. Like, Joe Montana threw 3 picks. Like, Brady threw picks. Like, guys have bad games, but I swear, Brock Purdy gets lit up. Like,
I think
his business.
Because some of his worst games this year, the games where the Niners went on a little skid. They didn't score many points when they had lost to the Browns and a couple teams. And that's when, there were some injuries to some of the offensive players. And,
but that's
when I think 49ers, I think Christian McCaffrey. That's kind of like the other thing. Typically, when you think of a team that has a superstar quarterback, the first thing you think about when you think about that team is the quarterback. But if somebody said name the MVP on the 49ers, I would say Christian McCaffrey. I would even put him up there in MVP for the league, before I would put Brock Purdy. So it's kind of like,
I mean,
that's kind of it.
I think the biggest question mark with Purdy, and you can throw Jalen Hurts in the mix with this too, is both those guys have the best offensive lines in football. So and they've got weapons and they've got defense. So it's like, I think that's partly what holds those guys back. And Jalen Hurts has had a similar deal where all of a sudden, they go on a little skid and it's like, what happened to this guy? But he's not, he's legit.
Yeah. And Jalen Hurts actually has had a fairly poor season passing in comparison to last year. He is not, I have him as my fantasy quarterback, and a lot of his touchdowns are rushing. Like he's got over 12 rushing touchdowns, but his passing touchdowns, passing yardage and stuff is all down. And I know at one point, maybe not after this week, but he was leading the league in turnovers.
Oh, was he?
Jalen Hurts was, yeah. So that Eagles team has this, disguised a lot of his flaws this season, or been able to overcome a lot of his flaws.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's say hi to some people. We got a few in the chat. Rip and List, it is live. Tonight's topics: Bailey Zappi will save the Patriots, Peyton Pritchard is underrated on the Celts, and early Brady refractors are good buys. Interesting takes.
Really, nobody can save the Patriots, and I don't even know if Peyton Pritchard how good he is. I don't know.
Early Brady refractors are interesting. A lot of that stuff is still pretty pricey, but I've been catching some of it just on auctions, random auctions.
But in comparison to Drew Brees stuff,
literally 10% of the price is Brees. I love it. It's fantastic.
I know. I saw your was it Instagram today?
Yeah,
it was a post you had today with the
silver.
The silver prisms.
It's pop 9 for PSA 9 and PSA 10. There's 9 of each for Brees, and for Brady, it's about the same numbers. Brady's like $4,000. Brees is $100. I'm like, yes, I'll take all of them at $100. Are you kidding me? The first topic should be Neo's complete disavowalment of Dustin on the Because I'm Carlos stream. No defense offered when Carlos told Dustin to stay in his lane. I completely missed this, Drew Baga. How did I miss this? If you could please throw a timestamp, if possible, into the chat, I would like to go back and we're throwing the red flag because I want to believe that that's not true. I want to believe that Neo stood up for me, and I want to believe that he didn't bow down to Carlos of all people. My God,
what were you told to stay in your lane about? What's your lane?
What's Carlos' lane? What's Carlos' lane? Packers football occasionally.
I'm just curious.
What's Carlos' lane? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Who knows? Know it all.
I believe he was throwing shade on the Collectibles dad alter ego.
Okay. Well, hey, sleep on that channel and see what happens.
Oh, the other channel. I got you.
We're growing like a weed.
How come you're not triple simul? You could be.
Yeah, but weeds. People don't like weeds.
I actually thought about that. I thought about putting like setting up a dummy in a chair with my phone and it's streaming to the other channel. Maybe next time. Next time. That would be.
Some would argue that the dummy is already set up and part of this stream.
And it's you. Michael Stone, good evening. Happy New Year. I'm still a little bit under the weather. Apologies there. Don't let me forget to, at 10 o'clock, I'm refilling up the hot tub and I don't want it to overflow. So I'm going to have to jump off for about 5 minutes, run down there and turn off the hose. All right. Collector's Dream Orlando, what is going on? Too cool for school.
Chat will remind you and you'll see it at about 10:45.
Yeah, I'll go back to it. It's to me. Hey, you know what? Just sounds like another reaction video. Thanks for the comment, or thanks for the content ideas. Hobby Champs, what is going on, buddy? Get here. So, oh yeah, I'm always behind, so you're right on time. What's going on? Hodges 1455, Trader Griffs, Merry Christmas. Brendan Ryan, king of the Photoshop for all of us, frankly. See the same passion for sports card grading companies as we do for comic books. You know it. Merry Christmas, Global. Hope everything is good down under. Let's throw another shrimp on the bobby. Will, evening. How you doing? Neo, you're missing Luca picking your boys apart. How are the Cavs doing this year so far?
I'm not missing anything.
Look, he's watching a Cavs game every time we're on here. So when he looks like just he's staring off, he's not in a coma. He's just watching.
Yeah. One of these comments says Luca's got 20 in the first quarter.
So considering the Cavs are down their top 4 starters, it's pretty rough shape.
Remember a time when Luca had 20 in the first quarter and we were all rushing to eBay to see like where the card prices were? Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days.
Luca just dropped 50.
Little side note, speaking of Luca, are we planning on going to the Mavericks-Hawks game in Atlanta when we're there? Right?
Yeah, I would like to do that. That's another thing, Neo, that you're not going to go to because you're too busy and cool hanging out with your comic book buddies. Me and Steve are going to go to the Mavs-Hawks game with Ham and maybe a 4-hour dinner afterwards. All right. Happy New Year's, Chris. Glad you guys are still grinding. Go Fins. Steve, are your Dolphins about to win a Super Bowl? I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Oh man, no! Don't say that.
They look pretty good.
Man, I don't know. Will we beat? The thing is that
it'll be playoff Tua. What's playoff?
The narrative going into the Cowboys game was we haven't beat anybody with a winning record, and now we beat the Cowboys, so we've beaten a team with a winning record. One team with a winning record at home, and the narrative for the Cowboys was they couldn't beat a good team on the road. One of those narratives was going to come to an end.
Yeah.
Right. The Cowboys are still a good team. The Dolphins are still a good team, but it doesn't mean that we're Super Bowl teams. I still need to see more. I still need to see more out of Tua. Yeah, we went down and kicked that field goal to win that game, and I said that when we were losing with 3 minutes left, I told my wife, I was like, "This is over. Tua can't Tua can't win, and Tua can't win with less than 5 minutes left in a game." Well, he did, but it was a field goal. We had 5 field goals that night.
5 field goals. Okay.
We had 5 field goals, and 3 of them were from 50 plus. So it's not like we were constantly in.
Damn.
Yeah. So if you had the Dolphins kicker in fantasy football, he'd get you some like running back 1 numbers, wide receiver 1 numbers the other night.
Wow.
He had like 22 fantasy points, but you know, and Dallas fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line.
Can't win doing that. It sounds like the Saints.
It just errors. We played mistake-free football, and we won a close game at the end. So that's what you have to do. You can't make the mistakes. Tua didn't have any turnovers, but he also didn't make any, like, what I would say outstanding plays. He had 1 touchdown pass. I don't know. We did have a question because down here, Orlando was asking me about my thoughts on the Dolphins. So before we even get to that comment,
I want to make sure this is Swags carried Neo heavily last night on the stream. So we want to say shout out to Swaggle Haas, our comic book buddies.
I was wondering why Neo didn't wear his Wolverine outfit on his comic book live stream.
The alter ego. Dude, you should do that, man. You got to come with it. You got to bring that thing. Neo's idea.
I do have the Magneto helmet now.
Put on the damn Magneto helmet on the comic book stream.
That's only to fight the tag bots.
The tag bots.
I have a question for you as a Saints and a Drew Brees fan.
Oh, well, I'm ready to answer. Here we go.
Because I want to, because this is a certain way that I feel. When you were watching Drew Brees and the Saints, even when you were losing, if the game, wasn't out of hand, didn't you always think you had a chance to win it because you had Drew Brees on the sideline?
Outside of his last 2 seasons. Okay. So but the first 13 seasons with the Saints, yeah, that was the case. It was shootout. It was like Dan Marino. It was like, hey,
okay,
the defense isn't good, but we always have a shot with the offense.
And like growing up watching the Dolphins with Dan Marino, we could be down 14 in the fourth quarter, 10 with 5 minutes left, and I was always like, we can still win this game because at any time Dan Marino could come out here and drive down and win it. I don't have that same feeling about Tua. So that's the way I wanted to explain it to somebody that knows that feeling. I just don't feel that way about Tua yet. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully he does develop into somebody that can win in the clutch, but he doesn't seem to be a fiery leader. And, Tyreek Hill is our best player, plain and simple. So that's just kind of that's what makes me nervous about the Dolphins. Like our best player is a wide receiver, but our wide receiver can only be as good as our quarterback allows him to be. And I think we have a quarterback that sometimes isn't a big enough leader and clutch. I don't feel like we can win a game at any time. And there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL right now that if they were on my team, I would not feel the same way. I would be like, oh man, we got this guy on the sideline. We're good.
Yeah.
It's tough. The Buffalo Bills. That's why the Buffalo Bills scared me so much. Josh Allen can go out and make some mistakes and he can lose a game, but he can also really go out and win a game.
Josh Allen plays football like Ace Ventura parks a car. That idiot is always just flailing around. Like it's either like a 70-yard touchdown or it's like, some insane interception, fumble, right. It's like, I don't know. It's insane. Let's touch on this real quick. Brendan brought up the CGC comic book slab, the popping them out, people popping them out, putting them into a different slab for a higher grade, et cetera, et cetera. To be fair, and maybe Rob, you were the first one to come up with this. I've heard this a few different places. Basically the inside envelope inside the slab have some sort of code or some sort of put the number also on the inside so it all matches up. You want to expound on that a little bit, Rob?
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just have the serial number engraved on the inner well, some way, shape, or form, so that if the label or the book gets swapped, that you would know that those didn't match when they went in for a reholder.
For those that don't know, so in the CGC comic book world, somebody has been taking comic books out of CGC slabs in some way. We're not exactly sure, how, but probably through the bottom is the guess. And then it's got kind of a little tray that's in there that is separate from the actual slab thingy mabobber, and putting in a different
Thingy-mabobber, a technical term.
It sure is. Yeah, there will be a manual to study later. And so anyway, you've got you've got the slab, and then you've got the inside little thing that it sits in. And so people are switching books out and putting basically like restored books into like a blue label. So it's not great. It's not great right now. So Neo is helping solve that with Swaggle and the collectibles dad. We're all in this together, guys. We are all in this together.
I don't know who that is. Looking
forward to seeing you at Culture Collision. Ed, it's going to be awesome. Actually, I'm really pumped for Culture Collision. I'm really excited for it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I haven't set up since I was 12 at a flea market, so that was 30 years ago. And so it's going to be cool having a table. All right, let's shift over to fantasy football. Who's in the championship of the Content Creator League? Steve is happy to dive into this topic.
So I did do a video on it yesterday, but the Super Bowl is going to be between myself and Jeff Wilson. So the little, the people's champ here, guys, I need you behind me. I'm trying to take down the whole evil empire by myself. And we'll see what happens. I hope I can win it. That's why I put future champ in my name tonight. But just joking. I'll probably end up being bad karma and causing me to lose. But I don't know how Jeff got to the Super Bowl. I think it was rigged. I got there the fair and square way. I had my ups and my downs. I beat the good teams. I beat the best team this year, who ended 13-1, that Jeff upset in the playoffs. I'm the only blemish on his record prior to the playoffs anyway. So, Jay, if you're in the chat, because Jay likes to talk,
Yeah. I finished in 9th, tied with like 4 other people for 9th, but I did beat both of these guys. So I feel pretty good overall in the year. That's a win for me. It's fine. I lost Chubb. I lost Joe Burrow. I lost half the team. So just the fact that I got you guys a couple times, I feel good.
We'll see.
I think Steve's going to lose in the championship game for karma for letting Therapist in the playoffs.
Well, see, that's what happened.
How did I not get put in for Therapist?
So Therapist did his team all the way through the whole thing. He kept
Should have never been allowed in. Then I wouldn't have matched up with Dakota.
And nobody's touched base with him. Nobody's been able to contact him.
I contacted him. And I never heard back. I contacted him.
Well, that's what I mean. You haven't been able to contact him. You reached out to him. It's a one-way communication. You didn't make contact with him.
I'm sending smoke screens out. I'm shooting flares off, and I'm not getting anything back.
So anyway, he goes into the championship or into the Super Bowl. The first round of the playoffs against Jeff, right? Yeah, he goes into the first round of the playoffs against Jeff and loses. But he had Tyreek Hill in his lineup, and Tyreek Hill was inactive in the Jets game. And he won by like 8 points or lost by like 8 points. So, if he would have had a starting wide receiver in there, he might have been the one advancing and maybe not Jeff. Then it could have been a different outcome for Jay. I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's what happened. It is what it is. In the end, Jeff is in the Super Bowl. Maybe he phoned in a favor and it's against me. I'm just kidding. I don't think Jeff would have phoned in a favor to the sports card therapist, but it makes for good. It makes for a good talking point.
Conspiracy theory. Jeff Becker, that was actually Swags' stream. Neo was just on it. Let's make sure we clarify that. Good evening, OG Sports Cards. Don't sleep on the Bills. Ed says division will be decided in week 18.
I like Hobby Champ's comment that you had pulled up about the Brock Purdy thing.
Yeah.
It was a system. He says it's a system quarterback, but what would make someone better? It depends on what you're talking about better at as a whole, as a quarterback or at decision making. If you line Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold up next to each other, Sam Darnold's going to have the better arm talent. The combines don't lie when it comes to arm talent and numbers. It's just when you get on a live field and have defenses and stuff in front of you. How cool are you? What kind of decision making and stuff do you have? That stuff is, they can't measure that at a combine. Raw arm talent.
We're letting Steve cook right now.
Just raw arm talent. That's why Darnold was a second or third pick of the draft, and Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant.
Most people don't know this, but Sam Darnold was actually born on Krypton. He came came here on a meteor.
With that being said, I'm not saying that Darnold is a better quarterback.
Okay.
He may be a better thrower of the ball. You know what I mean?
I hear a distinct backing up beep coming from Steve's microphone.
That just doesn't mean he's throwing the ball to the right people.
Oh, where's the Magneto helmet? We got a tag bot. We got to fight off a tag bot. Just kidding. For those that like tag, I don't have any problems with tag at all. I've never used them or tried them. Has anybody held a tag slab? Have you guys held one?
Yes.
Yes.
Thoughts?
It's a nicer CGC slab.
I was going to say it feels like a CGC. I was just going to say it feels like a CGC slab.
Okay.
It's crystal clear like a CGC slab.
Yeah.
And the flips laser engraved.
Okay.
Sometimes I like the white lettering laser engraved in, and then sometimes it's kind of hard to see, like just depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's probably hard to mess with a label that's laser engraved, or whatever. People aren't going to be able to.
Yeah.
I
don't know how tough their slabs are to crack.
I have a question for Trader Grips here. He says he always thought the Patriots were going to win when Brady was under center. How long did it take you to develop that feeling? Like when he first went in for Bledsoe, you were probably like, "Oh my God, we've lost Bledsoe. The wheels are coming off." And then Brady comes in and
touchdown passes.
Yeah, then Brady comes in and Brady comes in and starts his legacy. But how many seasons were you like, okay, this is our future guy? This is our future guy. Was it after that first one? Did you think maybe he was going to fall off coming in as the starter in his second season? Like, how long did it take for you to gain that big confidence in Brady?
Yeah, but Brady just kind of waltzed in and kicked ass. Like, there wasn't really a lot of, if you think about Tom Brady, his career, there's not really like a drop off. There's not much,
I know.
There's not like it's not like he had like, oh man, Tom Brady just had a bad year. Like what?
Right. Okay. Let's Brock Purdy is like the Tom Brady story, the beginning of it. He comes in for an injured starting quarterback. He's a guy that was drafted way late in the draft that nobody thought ever would have a chance. He comes in, he does amazing for second half of a season, gets hurt in the playoffs, so we don't really know what would have happened last year without him. Then he comes out this year, wins a bunch of games. How many regular season games did he go before he finally had his first loss? And the 49ers are Super Bowl favorites for the NFC right now. He did have the bad game the other night, but like you said, that happens.
Yes.
Especially when you're young like him. Do San Francisco 49ers fans feel like, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl with this guy and he is going to build a legacy? Because at some point, Tom Brady was in this same situation. Now, history's written itself already,
but that Patriots team, if you go back in time, and I understand the game is different now, but I'm thinking back to that time, and that Patriots team was not a dominant team that went to the Super Bowl. It was kind of like a surprise that they went to the Super Bowl that year. They didn't go. They weren't like preseason favorites in the AFC. Whereas like Brock Purdy plays on a team that could have won last year if he didn't get hurt in the NFC Championship game. I don't know. I do hear you though. I understand kind of like the parallels, but I guess I'm wondering, like, did Tom Brady kind of lead like an inferior team, whereas like this is a dominant team that he plays on. I don't know.
But I think that team just felt inferior until they started winning.
Which one? The Patriots team?
Yeah.
Could be. And maybe I'm not remembering it right.
At first it was a good underdog story where people were like, oh, this is a good underdog story. I want to cheer for the Patriots. And they won a Super Bowl, and then they won a Super Bowl again. And then it turned into, oh my God, we hate this guy. All he does is win. So, and you can see that happening to Brock Purdy right now, because with Brock Purdy, everybody was pulling for this kid last year. And then you see the media and stuff now, as soon as he has a bad game, like they're all over him, like saying, oh, we told you he was a Kyle Shanahan system guy. We told you this. And this isn't my thoughts. This is stuff that I see on, First Take and things like that. All the sports media. So it's kind of like the same thing where they push for you as the underdog until you become successful. Then when you become successful, they want to see you fail.
I'm right there with Patrick Mahomes. I am completely over the Chiefs. As far as like, dude, between like Kelsey and Taylor Swift, I'm over that. And then when you combine the Reed Mahomes complaining about the officials a couple weeks ago, when those guys really get like some pretty nice treatment from the officials, now I'm kind of like, all right, I'm done seeing that. Like anybody but the Chiefs, I'm kind of there with the Chiefs at this point. Rob, do you want to throw any thoughts in on football? Do you want to take a break from the Cavs game for a second, or how are they doing?
I'm just wacko for Flacco.
Oh yeah, your Browns, man, your Browns, dude.
Yep.
How so? Chubb goes down. I'm sure you probably thought the season's over.
I mean, not over, but it was like, crap. I mean, they were still good. The defense was still really good, and we still had Watson at that point.
But that shows you how damn good the defense is, because Watson was not playing well. Like I watched some of those early games. He just wasn't. I know he was like 5-1 when he started, but he was not throwing the ball well. He was not playing good. And then now you have Flacco coming in. It just shows you like anybody can walk in there, you know? I mean,
yeah, they're on their fourth quarterback. Stefanski's probably going to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I hope they go all the way. That's my in-laws are Browns fans, so that's my AFC team.
As of right now, they play the Jaguars in the first round of the playoffs if things hold. So they already beat them once, and Lawrence looks like crap.
Yeah, that's a good matchup. Did they have?
I think everyone wants them to play the Ravens because that would be like Flacco going back to Baltimore and then the old Browns-Ravens angle.
That's the other thing. Flacco is playing really good, and he's again the underdog story now that he's been out of football or out of a starting job and coming back and on a good team and winning. I'm cheering for Flacco because he's like a hometown guy here, and we don't have many in this small state that I'm in. We don't have many professional, people that become professional caliber athletes. That's so right. He went right here to University of Delaware, which wasn't even I don't even know if we were a D1 school then.
So he's been good. He's been really good.
Yeah, he's got a freaking cannon, man.
Yeah, he throws an accurate deep ball.
Yeah,
very accurate. Mm-hmm. So I think OJ is talking about the CGC inner sleeve used to be attached to the label, and they redesigned it. Yeah. I hope the end result is that CGC rolls out some badass new slab that's just better. I mean, that's what really needs to happen. I mean, that's really the only option. The whole idea is to have grading companies just advance, get better, not to go away. We need third-party grading. We absolutely need third-party grading. I don't want to try to negotiate, cards or comic books that are expensive without any sort of third-party grading. Okay, Mike is making fun of ultra modern people like usual. Right on cue. Okay, they're buddies, Orlando and Mike. Jaw has $1 million game and a 25-cent brain, was throwing up gun hands last night. Yeah, Ja Morant
again.
I don't. Has he got in trouble this season so far, or is he hanging in there? And also, are you guys buying basketball cards? I saw that as a question earlier. Is anyone making like basketball plays?
Not really. I just traded for a Vince Carter card, so I guess technically, sure.
Oh yeah, you bought a nice Vince Carter card.
Yeah, I traded for it. I didn't buy it. No cash involved in that deal.
So what made you do that? Of all the things, because I know that you're
it's just one of those things. You're walking through a show and you see a PSA 10 Dunkin' Donuts, and that's just not something you see very often.
But I mean, are you a Vince Carter guy, or is it more like this is something?
It was just a matter of I would rather I had 2 Juan Soto PSA slabs, and I was like, if I could turn these into an ultra rare 90s insert, like you.
Okay, got it.
9 times out of 10.
And it's liquid in quotation marks and all that stuff.
I don't know. This is going to be, I'll be able to either flip this or use this as a major trade piece at like the National to get into something bigger if I want to. Like these just do not come up that often. And especially ones, this has basically no yellowing on it at all.
What's the pop for that one?
Very rare. I think mid 30s.
It's crazy because I just remember when those were coming out of packs back in the day, and I would never imagine that they would be one of the most popular or one of the more popular inserts, I guess, from the
Yeah,
'90s era.
I think the Jordan PSA 10 goes for like 10 or 12K still.
Yeah, I just remember them
On Target.
being in the local card shop bins, like the insert bins that were like $3, $5 bins. And if you had one of those cards, you had to be a decent player at the time. So they only made inserts of the solid players. And I just remember being like, man.
The other thing too with that Carter is that's actually rookie.
Mm-hmm.
It's rookie year, so it's a rookie Dunkin' Donuts insert.
I wonder if we can jump in as like the old timer, Steve, for the culture collision influencer basketball game drama. Like just talking all sorts of smack to the young guys, like the Kenny Fornos.
Like hamstring, like
old timers. I could probably beat 80% of the people out there in a one-on-one.
Oh, dude, I didn't say old timers like we're not good enough. I'm just saying that we're older than them. I'm not saying that I'm not better.
Oh, yeah.
We're not.
Yeah, we come out there.
I've seen the tape. I've seen the tape on those guys. It's not like it's not Vince Carter out there. I'll tell you that.
I'd get hurt, man. I'd twist an ankle or something.
Isn't Fornos? He's coming off a torn ACL in this thing, isn't he?
Yeah, my brother is. I have a 20-year-old brother, half my age, and he tore his ACL playing football, playing flag football. So can't be too careful out there. That's I was in a 35+ league going back a couple of years, and I haven't re-entered it since like all my friends have gotten hurt. I'm just like I can't be on crutches. Like I've got 4 kids. I don't have time to like deal with rehab or whatever. So
I just got over an injury to my arm from the gym. I had to go to the hospital for it. Put me on steroids for 2 weeks, and
I get tendonitis.
I'm starting to feel better. No, I pulled a tricep muscle like pretty bad. Couldn't extend this arm. Like I couldn't even put on my ties to go to work. Like I couldn't reach behind my neck.
How'd you do it?
Trying to lift too much weight.
Oh, at the gym?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't realize it at the time. I just felt like I was like, oh, the back of my tricep it was like burning. I was like, it burns. But I went to the gym like 2 more days, and then I guess I just made it worse. I had to end up going to the hospital and dumb shit.
Dustin, I don't want to throw you off too much, but you should pull up Petty's comment from 934 because it was something we were talking about prior to going live.
It was something we were talking about last week, so I should probably get to it. All right, I'll go back in time to these other comments. Sorry, guys. All right, hold on.
Go back in time.
It was just a topic that we wanted to talk about anyway, and he literally set us up.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure you're going to the National again. I just have zero interest in Cleveland. And yeah, what about the Dallas show? We're going to go to the National just because I'm going to go every year unless, I don't know, if Fanatics Live has some sort of Fanatics Events has some sort of like unbelievable show that's a comparison to it. But that's really the main show where you can kind of see all the content creators, companies, meet with the companies, do all that stuff, see viewers. It's kind of like you can hit all the things in one place. And so it's kind of a must go to. And for Rob, he can drive there. For me and Steve, we're looking at hotels. And I think the one thing we were just kind of looking at is even in Atlantic City, not a great place to go, obviously, with the crime and all that. But you could at least Uber here, there, whatever. It's quick. What Rob is saying basically is like hotels are 10, 15 minutes away. There's going to be like 100,000 people trying to get a cab or an Uber. So you can't like go eat nearby, like you go to the convention center and then you're there. And then when you leave, then you got to come back and park again. It sounds like it's going to suck, frankly.
Yeah.
So Rob was speculating. Well, go ahead, Steve, go first. But Rob was speculating it's going to be slower. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I was actually going to ask about the Dallas card shows because I haven't heard much about those recently. And those were like big time there for a while.
You were going to change the subject.
No, because this isn't his same question. I didn't know if Mike knew anything about the Dallas card shows himself because I haven't been to one in a while.
Have you been to the one since we met?
No, I haven't. But remember, the Dallas card show was always a bigger time event. A lot of people made it a point to get to that show, even after that initial one coming out of the pandemic that everybody went to, except Neo. And then, that's even back when Brad was doing cards and went to that show.
Yeah, that's where we all met for the first time.
Yeah, so I'm just curious because like some other comments coming up are talking about how a lot of the vloggers aren't putting out as much content as they used to or no content at all. And
dude, the show content way down.
So we're not seeing a lot of the show content, and a lot of people were like trying to catch the vibes off certain shows and how busy they were and things like that off a lot of that content. and I haven't seen a lot of it. So I don't know how the Dallas card show was even going. There was a question about, does Forno still do cards? I know he was just at the card show. Was that in China or Taiwan?
Yeah,
They just had a big one. They just had a big card show in Asia. I know that he was at that. Now, he doesn't do content on it or hasn't been doing content, but I'm pretty sure he's still heavily into cards if he went all the way to Asia for that show.
To be honest, I think a lot of these guys are still doing cards, but there's not, contrary to popular belief, or people might just know this, there's not a lot of money doing that. And vlog stuff takes a lot of time. Me and Rob setting up and talking for 10 minutes a day on a video on my iPhone doesn't take a lot of time. Vlog content takes a lot of time. So for those guys, for it to be worth their while, I think it's more of kind of like a branding thing. And I think it helped. I mean, if I remember right, Kenny's got a job with Pullwax.
That's last time I talked to him at the National. That's the last time I talked to him in person. But yes, that's actually the last time I actually talked to him about that in specific. Yeah, he was working.
So, I mean, maybe he's kind of like he's kind of gotten to his end point. Like he's built a brand, he was seen, he's probably got a good gig with those guys.
He was doing his own thing as far as buying and flipping, because at the trade nights, he was out there buying things specifically that he wanted to buy and flip for himself. Then I know that he also had a budget set aside where he was buying for Pullwax for repacks, I believe.
The other part
of that, it's probably a little bit like Sasha. So
he was
Sasha built up the rep, and then he stopped doing content. But last I checked, he's still buying and selling cards.
Yeah,
he's just doing it behind the scenes now. Like he has his network.
And it's probably
anymore.
And he's probably a lot more busy considering he's working for like a bigger company like Pullwax, trying to get them good inventory for their repacks, and also trying to do his own side thing, buying and selling cards, when it was used to just be his own thing. You know what I mean?
And they were paying a camera guy. They're actually somebody.
I think that whoever he works for now, that they might cover some of those expenses, because I think his camera guy was out there with him in Asia. So that's the thing. I guess he built his brand up. He got hired, and now he can buy and sell cards almost on a risk-free type basis.
Yeah. Does he need content? Not really. Like
not. I guess it's not completely risk-free, because if you got wasting your client's money, then and not getting them anything in return for it, then they're not going to stick with you very long. But he became really good at buying and selling and negotiating and things like that. And so,
all right,
I wonder if the shows stopped picking up the tabs for a lot of those guys. I wonder if that's why content's down.
I'm not sure.
Conspiracy. Was that definitely a thing?
I mean, most of those guys. Yeah, I think most of those big time vloggers got some travel expenses covered by the shows.
So what you're saying is we didn't get offered money to go and vlog when we don't vlog. So we would have been incredible if we wanted. Hey, look, if someone's going to pay for my hotel and plane ticket, then I might have to do a little vlogging. Hey, your boy.
Vlogs are a nightmare to edit. I tried it.
Oh no, I did it
and I hated my life.
It sucks. It absolutely sucks.
Recording it wasn't bad, and then it literally took me like 8 hours on a Saturday to edit like a 12-minute video, and I'm like, what just happened? I'm never doing this again. That is a lot of work. I don't know how Ryan from Breakout Cards did it all the time.
And I haven't.
He would show me his edit deck timeline, and I'm like, what in the hell is even happening right now?
Yeah,
mine's like one big bar with the video and the audio, and that's it. And he's got like all these edits and breakpoints and slide-ins and all these other effects.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like the same. And then I've got like Skeletor clip, place, Beavis and
I don't even do that, so I don't even have that.
Well, it's easy. But anyway, let's circle back to Cleveland. You are the local to Cleveland. I have not booked my hotel yet, but I probably should. But what you were saying pre-chat was maybe it won't be as busy given the kind of the pain in the ass that Cleveland is, or what are your thoughts?
I just think if you're trying to compare it back to a Chicago National, it's not going to be as crazy. So I could already see the narrative now of like, oh, that's it, it's over, it's done, because Cleveland's going to be a more, I guess I'll say low key is probably like the appropriate term for it. Like it's just not going to be as much hustle and bustle. There'll still be a lot of people there, but the show floor is going to be smaller. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be like Mike and be like, you know what? I'll take this year off and I'll hit it again in Chicago next year. So I could just see that being the stance a lot of people will take if it's not super convenient for them to get there. Like obviously for me, it's the easiest thing ever, and for people in the region, it'll be easy to travel in for. But I mean, it's close to the airport and all that stuff. But it's just there's some more hoops you have to jump through this time around because of not being able to walk to the venue. So you're
and honestly,
car or rely on Ubers or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes like for me, either way, flying to Cleveland, flying to Chicago is pretty much the same thing. However, when it's in Atlantic City, I can drive, but I would still rather fly to Cleveland or Chicago and go to a national than be at Atlantic City, even though it's within driving distance of me.
Oh, 100% agree.
Even with
sorry.
I was just going to say I'll save money. I'll spend all that extra money just on the hotels that I would spend on a plane ticket to get to Chicago or Cleveland. So
Crazy Kev asked about parking. Yes, parking's amazing at the IX Center. There's no doubt about that. It's just that everyone's going to have to either drive or Uber in. There is no walking from a hotel. Like that's the complicating factor. Chicago, you don't really have to drive in. A bulk of the people are literally staying on site and walking across the street.
Now,
Chicago or Cleveland, that's going to be the exact opposite. Like, yeah, their parking situation is fantastic. It's a massive parking lot. They can hold 1 billion people in that parking lot. Like, that's not going to be a problem. I have a feeling there's going to be a, cluster F trying to get an Uber after that thing to get the hell out of there.
but do you think that there will be obviously they're going to know that? Are they going to buoy that with a ton of food trucks or have food courts set up in there?
I've heard some stuff that they are looking at potentially doing things like that. I don't know if they will or not. Cleveland could support that. Like Chicago, it would be nice to have that kind of stuff, but there's really not a good setup spot for that.
No. Yeah.
Unless there's really nowhere for them to go, unless they literally blocked off the street. But Cleveland would have the area of opportunity to line up a bunch of food trucks so you could just walk outside. When I go to New York City Comic Con, they have 25 food trucks outside the venue. They have them all lined. They have a whole row of nothing but food trucks that you could just walk out and get literally pretty much anything that you want across all the different food trucks. And most of the ones I've eaten off of are pretty good. So I would think Cleveland could pull off something like that because they do have the space for it, whether it's outside the venue or inside the venue. I hope they do that because, you're right. Just running to lunch is not going to be a simple task.
Definitely going to bring a backpack with snacks and stuff.
Now it'll be easy. For us, it won't be a big deal because I'm going to be driving in every day. So if I'm hey guys, do you want to go grab some lunch?
Right. I'll drive. I'm going to drive there somewhere. Too. I'm driving in. I'm going to drive in as well to Cleveland. I'm going to drive it. But it's still a pain in the ass, though. I mean, I'll probably bring a George Foreman grill in my backpack and just bring some patties. We'll just plug it into the wall. That's what we'll do. Hey, lunch out in the hallway.
Yeah, you can just bring in one of the little heater pot things, and we can cook some ramen or something. Some ramen for the microwave.
All right, Neo got some kudos for the 90s. The 90s insert pickup. Cards and Comics. What's up, man? 90s rare cards, one category holding steady. Very true. Very true. All right, I'm kind of skimming back over just to see if I had missed anything. Let me know. I missed about 40 different things, but I'm just trying to.
I was going to say, you skipped 20 minutes worth of comments ahead,
to get to that question.
Now you're 20 minutes behind again.
And I'm still trying to go back.
Just say if somebody really wants their comment seen. All right.
Yeah, guys. You know what? It's a lot easier for me to see your comment if you donate to the channel and then it likes.
No, just put it in again. Because say it's somebody that's not here now, you answer their comment.
Yeah, I just my eyesight's really bad. If you super chat, then it's a lot easier for me to see.
Yeah, they missed your comment because they were outside taking the hose out of your hot tub.
Oh shoot! Thank you for reminding me about that. I need to go out there in a second. All Sam Darnold needs to do from Swag is make better decisions, be more athletic, have more game awareness. But he's from Krypton, Swags. He's fine. Steve already pointed out why he's the best quarterback in the league.
I didn't say that.
He also has 30 cards that are going up tonight.
I never said Sam Darnold was a good NFL quarterback. Don't put those words in my mouth.
No, Brady did not. And
he did get Trey Lance kicked out of San Francisco, though.
Drew Brees had all the stats, and Brady just outlasted him. Drew Brees had better stats than Brady all the way through, and then Brady just played until he was 57, and so that's why he owns all the stats. It's sad but true.
I feel like there's just something about Drew Brees that I don't know. People just don't talk about him when they say, "Okay, name the top 5 NFL quarterbacks ever or top 8." I feel like nobody ever brings Brees up.
Not yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm going to be playing highlights on the channel.
I just don't know why that is. Is there something that he did, or was he just not?
I think he played. Look,
limelight type guy.
The Saints are not a popular team. Like, I mean, they're my team, but if you look at like what teams are popular in the NFL, like the Saints are just
but that was a big deal for them to win the Super Bowl when they did.
Yeah. And actually the whole country was, I remember they mapped it out, like who's rooting for who. And it was mostly, the country rooting for the underdog Saints. So yeah, no, but I mean, if you look back the last 25 years, he's top 4. I mean, it's Rodgers, Brees, Brady, and Peyton Manning. Those are the 4 best quarterbacks over the last 20 years.
I just hear people bring up Aaron Rodgers in discussion more often than they do Drew Brees when they talk about the best to ever play.
Because Rodgers is more flashy. He gets outside. He throws the Hail Mary. Brees is more technical, that's what it is. And also Rodgers plays for the Packers. The Packers are a popular, team, and everyone, cheers for the Packers.
He's on the Jets.
Well, yeah, now he's on.
I know. I'm just picking.
And actually, technically, is he on the Jets? Like, I know he ran out with the American flag, and then I think that was the last time he played for the Jets.
He took a snap. It was called his ACL,
and then they carried him off.
It was called his Achilles. He took a snap from center and a snap to his leg.
Oh man,
he's healed already, though. If the Jets were in the playoffs, he'd be back. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and then there's all the people saying that he never hurt himself, or like it wasn't a real injury or whatever. Oh, there's Jay. There you go. He's rooting for you. Team Steve.
He's rooting for me. He's got a comment later saying where he's contemplating coming to Atlanta. It'll be perfect.
You can how you're giving this thing away.
You can be there when I get presented with my award.
Yeah.
Have you figured out how you're giving this thing away yet?
The national trip?
Yeah, since you don't actually make videos anymore, how's this?
It's still 2023, man. We'll worry about that next year.
It's a 2024 problem.
I made a video. I made a video in August of 2020. What hat was I wearing?
Hey, look, man, there's more videos to come. There'll be more videos on the way. 2024, we're going to start doing some more videos.
Well, and then the best will be and then you're going to act all pissed that people don't know what it is. I'm giving away a free trip. You didn't watch you don't remember my video from 2.5 years ago?
You don't?
So would say something about free money. Dustin's ears perked up. Hey man,
I like free money too.
I'm cheap, contemplating going to Culture Collision. There you go. Hey, I want a Married with Children card as well. One of the greatest shows of all time. Trader Griff's talking about Burbank. I really do want to go to Burbank just to see it and experience it, but it's just so damn far away.
Better start planning New York City and Charlotte for Heroes Con.
Yeah. My God, the way the Collectibles Dad channel is taking off thanks to all this craziness on the comic book side, I'm going to be shifting gears next year, guys.
Is it?
It's going to be
really? Is it really, or are you just kidding?
No, I'm just kidding. Well, I've got 600, and I think I've got 606 subscribers, but the last few videos have.
Well, yeah, it's the biggest scandal in modern comics or in the comic book world potentially ever. Of course, your videos are doing well.
I'm riding the wave, brother. Ride the wave. All right. Yeah, Rob's giving rights to and from their hotel to the show. Yeah, I'm sure that Neo's going to want to do that. That would be a blast.
Yeah, PSA 10 slabs for payment.
Having Justin around the chat is like having Mac Jones run your offense. I love it. Oh, Jay, don't be a baby. Drew Brees is one onside kick away from not being a Super Bowl champ.
You can say you can take away a lot of plays.
Who's the offense
about a lot of people?
That's like
I'm not sure.
Jay, who's your team? Who's your team?
0 Super Bowls. 0 Super Bowls.
0 Super Bowls.
Zero Super Bowls.
Steve saying that is because we went to go watch the Panthers against the Saints, and the Panthers beat us. And so I was yelling at all their fans, like, 0 Super Bowls. You guys suck.
Yeah, so Dustin was talking smack during that whole Carolina Saints game, and like the whole row in front of us. I'm bad with ages now, but they were a bunch of younger. It was a younger crowd, and they were giving them shit all game. They were going back and forth, and then towards the end, when Carolina just basically, it wasn't even a game; it was over. They were going in on Dustin, and Dustin kind of ran out of comebacks, so he was just like, 0 Super Bowls, 0 Super Bowls.
Never
And
gonna
I
win
remember,
a Super Bowl.
and
Never gonna
I remember the one dude was like, "Really, man? That's all you got? It's 0 Super Bowls. That's all you got left."
This is a trump card. Hey, that's the trump card. You lay it
You hit
down.
him with it. Hit him with the 0 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
Hey,
he
that
ain't
was
going
Sam
nowhere.
Darnold. That was Sam Darnold that beat that Saints team that day
There it is. There you go. Your boy from Krypton.
in Carolina. But that was Jameis Winston was quarterbacking for the Saints.
The Saints are just one of those teams. They'll
He
beat
was
a
so
good
bad
team,
that day.
and then they just don't show up. There's just certain Sundays they just don't show up at all. All right, Vintage Card Collector is going to break this down. It might actually be a smart take. Let's see. I think the thing with Breeze is he was in an offense that threw all the time and racked up stats. Manning was so smart in field general, even if he wasn't the most talented. I would argue that Breeze was just as good of a field general as Manning without the God-given kind of born being 6'4" and the cannon arm and all that. He had a pretty strong arm, but he was just more accurate than everybody else, and he could read defenses.
Yeah. I actually think as far as arm talent goes, Manning was the most talented in that whole era.
Absolutely, 100%.
Like if you're talking about just pure quarterback, just prototypical drop back arm talent quarterback, Manning was the best. Now, when it comes to wins, of course, Brady has him there. So Brady is the GOAT.
Yeah, of course, I'm biased towards.
you know.
I'm a Saints fan, and he's the best Saint that ever played. So for me, that's kind of an easy one. But I have more Tom Brady cards than I do Breeze cards, so that's what it is.
Arm talent to go along with being a leader and a field general and all that stuff that we taught that was also mentioned, because there was other guys who had great arm talent. I mean, Mike Vick had great arm talent.
Yeah.
Jamarcus Russell had great arm talent.
Yep. All right. What else? I'm at the end of chat. What's going on? I need to go turn off the hot tub thing. So, guys, let's start a new topic. What do we have?
Do you want to talk about your 2024 goals, or is it collecting goals? Is it hobby goals? Is it content goals? Whatever.
You can get really
lead, Steve, while Dustin goes and turns off his hot tub.
Yeah, you guys lead off. I'll be right back. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
All right, what do you got, Steve?
Huh? Oh, I couldn't hear him. Oh, we're not going to be able to do anything with chat.
Oh, but what are your what's on the 2024 agenda for
you? Honestly, I don't have a whole lot. Like I haven't sat down and be like, hey, this is stuff that I want to accomplish in 2024. I am doing the show in Atlanta, which is funny because back in I did that show in 2022. So back at the end of 2021, going into 2022, I was like, one of my main goals is to finally set up as a dealer at a show. And I did that. And that was always like one thing that I always wanted to do because I wanted to see the other side of the table or the perspective from the other side of the table. Now it's kind of like, I'm just hoping that certain items that I've always wanted pop up for sale at decent prices. This year is more going to be based more on me building my collection with some higher end rare items as opposed to buying to resell, especially in the short term. I am going to target like 2 quarterbacks to take to the national just because that's fun. Keep you guessing, gamble a little bit, but a majority of what I'm going to do is going to be hunting down maybe 3, 4, 5 cards that I've always wanted. And there's stuff out there that I want and don't know that I want it because so many cards pop up every now and then that I didn't even know existed. And I'm like, oh man, it's amazing. I didn't even know that card existed. So for me, it's just going to be more based towards my personal collecting goals, which it's never been driven by that as much as it has been trying to make money, just to be blunt and truthful. I've always put the business aspect of it first over the last couple of years. And that's going to be my major change for this year. I'm going to try to get out more content, but I say that all the time. It's just tough. But I do got to get out more content because we are giving away a trip to the national. I still look forward to the shows in the National and hanging out and, with the friends that I've made in the hobby and meeting more people in the hobby from a friend standpoint, not necessarily to grow my name or anything like that. So pretty much a lot of the same, other than I'm leaning more heavily towards the collector side of myself than the business side.
Is there a vintage card that you're chasing? Like last year, you had like the maze. Was like
last year was the maze. It's tough because I'm not sure what sport I want to go with. Like, would I love to get a 51 Bowman mantle to go with my 51 Bowman maze? I would, but it's probably unattainable for me right now, just because I would have to do a lot of buying and selling and trading to get to something like that. Because again, I use the money that I make in the hobby to fund my hobby. So I'm not going to go to my bank account or to my credit card and go buy a 1951 Bowman mantle. I'm going to have to fund it from what I have. So if I could find some cards of mine that I'm willing to move on from and part with for something like that, then maybe I will. But right now, a lot of the cards I have in my collection, I really like. We will see how I do in the Atlanta show. I don't have the expectations, or I'm nowhere. I know I'm not going to do nowhere like I did in 2022 when I made, I did really well at that show. I'm just going there hoping to sell a couple cards and just have fun. If I make money, great. If I make a lot of money, great. But that's kind of where that is. My expectations are way lower. But we'll see what happens. I'm still into the pop culture stuff. I'm still into hunting that. I'd like to find a nice vintage card. But the vintage cards aren't necessarily hard to find. So it's kind of, a lot of the times when it comes to landing a card for your PC, it's the thrill of the hunt or the thrill of the chase of trying to find that one card. Sometimes once you acquire that card, you're not necessarily bummed that you acquired it because it feels like an accomplishment. But then you're kind of like, okay, what next? I've been chasing that card for 6 months. I've been chasing that card for a year. Finally, somebody put one for sale and I was able to afford it. I finally got it. Then you get it. That buzz that you get from the chase is gone. Now you have the feeling of accomplishment of having it in your collection. Then you kind of like start over. It's like, okay, now what do I do now? It's kind of like you play, I used to be a video gamer and I used to play like a lot of MMO games. I used to play World of Warcraft. I just put that out there. And it was kind of like, oh, a new expansion just came out and I'm going to grind and I'm going to get all this stuff and I'm going to get all the best gear and this, that, and the other. And then the new stuff comes out and you're like, okay, well, I accomplished all that, but now I'm starting over at square one again, so it's more of the build up as to when you finally reach that final goal. Now you got to find something to start over with and you got to be willing to go through it again. So,
yeah.
And sometimes it's hard because sometimes it's like, what card is out there that's worth the effort and the time of hunting and finding? A lot of times I just try to find, I just hope that the card pops up and speaks to me. I hope that I'm just surfing eBay, putting in a random search of things that I like, and something pops up and I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that card existed. That's the card that I want, as opposed to being like, this is the card that I want. Now I got to go out and find it. Sometimes I like for the card to find me. And we got kind of off topic, but that's kind of where I am in 2024, leaning more towards the collector side than the business side. And, when we went to the National this year, I wasn't expecting to find that dual autograph of Harrison Ford and Adam Driver, that Star Wars card. I knew that I always wanted an on-card Han Solo autograph. I had never expected I'd get one at the National. I thought I'd find one online eventually or something. One turned up at the National. It ended up becoming a goal of mine that weekend, to where I was selling Jared Goff cards and I was selling who else? I was selling a couple other quarterback cards that I had taken to the National for that reason, and I was able to use those flips to fund that card. Now that card's in my collection. So, and then it felt like an accomplishment.
All three of us have shifted to rare non-sports. I do Stranger Things, Rob does Star Wars, and you also have done some Star Wars, but you've also done some music and stuff too. But I think that that's kind of interesting because if you look, it's like, yeah, you can get, I know I'll irritate, some people in the chat, but it's like, okay, another rare insert of Griffey Jr., or it's another rare insert of Michael Jordan. Okay. Outside of like the really, really rare stuff that's really, really, really expensive.
Right.
I mean, the non-sports arena lets you kind of find really rare stuff and it's not 50 grand. It's like, and it's also, it's not being sold everywhere. It's not like you don't know where you're going to see it. Like when we were at the National, I think it was Michael Hamm that had picked out like a dual or a triple Stranger Things autograph. It's like one in like 10,000 packs, and it's sitting there in between like a couple of like sealed boxes of product randomly, and that's what's really fun. And all three of us have really gone that route. It feels like over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And I think with me, it kind of goes towards what I do to get my fix for the things that I like. I like sports and I like cards. But honestly, during this whole football season, I've gotten my sports fix. In fact, my football overfill from playing fantasy football. Managing 4 teams has just been like, oh man, I'm football to death. I was relieved this week when I got eliminated from one of my leagues because I was like, man, I don't have to worry about watching the stats next week. I don't have to. Yeah, I'm eliminated. I'm not going to. There was $400 extra I could have won going into this week. I'm like, but you know what? I don't have to worry about that game next week. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I was getting a big NFL football fix out of watching the games, running the fantasy football teams, almost overwhelmed at times. But I also love music and I love movies, and I don't watch much TV, but movies and music and things like that. And I'm like, where can I get my fix of these things from? I do like to go to live events. I do listen to music and things all the time, but I can't collect something by watching it. So if I want to have some stuff that I think is cool, and especially a lot of the bands that I like aren't putting out material now. So could I collect music memorabilia? I would like to, but that stuff is big. I don't know the first thing about it. I wouldn't even know where to begin. So it's kind of like I'm just looking for the other things that I like on trading cards. And that's what has led me into pop culture. So I buy movie or actor cards and cards of rock and roll bands and things like that, because that gives me like a little bit of a fix of those things that I really enjoy. It gives me a way to collect them, as opposed to delving into a market that I completely know nothing about when it comes to memorabilia and vinyl and VHS tapes or movie posters or whatever's out there, because there's tons and tons of stuff out there. I get that. And there's tons of stuff out there that's probably way more cooler than owning than a card, but cards is what I know. So I mix it with what I like, what I know and what I like, and I put it together. And that's why I've kind of been leading the pop culture way. It's just refreshing. It's an easier way to collect because I don't have to get in a lot of bidding wars with people for a lot of it. And again, it's a little bit of the unknown because I don't know what cards are out there. Typically, when a card pops up that I see, it's like an autograph or something, I'd be like, wow, I didn't even know that autograph card existed. That would be pretty cool to have. Stuff exists in the sports card world because everybody has everything.
Yeah, it's true. I'm going to answer this question. Rob, did you already say your 2024 stuff?
No, Steve's been pretty much just going since you left.
All right, let's tackle this really quick, but then let's go back to your 2024 stuff because I want to answer this. So for me on the sports card side, and this is kind of tough because Grail card, you can look at it a few different ways, but on the sports card side, I'll never attain the Tom Brady championship contenders ticket, the one that's numbered out of 100 auto. Like that would be, and maybe the rookie ticket auto, maybe that's the one that would be like within range at some point as a Grail card. For Breeze, I feel like I've got a black refractor, Topps Chrome refractor rookie card for him, the one that's autoed. So there's not another Breeze card that I would want over that one. The other one would be the 1993 Skybox Art to Bart autograph card. We've talked about this, Steve. I know you've been looking for this thing too. And that's one that I really, really badly want. I mentioned it in my video today. And then on the Stranger Things side, it would be this card This is the Millie Bobby Brown from 2018. This is the blue that's the auto that's numbered to 10. Somewhere out in the universe, there's a gold that's 1 of 1. There's a Hopper 1 of 1 that's on eBay right now for like $18,000. I know the seller. Shout out to the seller. I know him. I'm just kind of waiting for him to give up on that price point. But there is also a 1 of 1 somewhere that's lingering out there in the universe. And so on the Stranger Things side, that's kind of the grail. That would be the best Stranger Things card.
Put out a bounty for it.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should. All right. So why don't we go back to Neo, talk about 2024, and then answer the grail card question?
I'll take it in reverse order. I don't know, I don't know that I have a sports card grail right now. I mean, sure, I could throw something out there, but that's like completely unrealistic, attainable.
Right.
I guess and I don't even know which one specifically, maybe like a LeBron rookie auto, but that's not even really on my radar at the moment. But that would probably be pretty high up there for bigger purchases. It's just the whole what do you consider a grail thing is a kind of a nonsensical topic. Oh, everyone's different on what that falls into. 2024 wise, because this was my video today, I suppose I should remember this. On the sports card side of things, it was a LeBron rookie refractor, Topps Chrome, and then making around at an X-Men 1 in a 1.5 to 3.0 range, depending on what prices do over the first half of the year. But I'm kind of taking the Steve approach to that, where I want to buy it in person. I don't want to. Yeah. I mean, if I find a clean copy and maybe it's on a live sale and I can see a video of it or something, and if the price is right, I wouldn't necessarily hesitate, but I would prefer to kind of do the in-person thing. That just really limits me to probably Heroes Con, though. That's the only problem with that, because large Comic Cons aren't like large card shows. They're just not as accessible. There's not as many of them. The travel's not as easy. So I don't want to pigeonhole myself into I have to buy one in Charlotte in June. Yeah. If things aren't correct. But
and with
I'm planning on New York Comic Con again this year, but I don't know that I want to buy a $4,000 to $6,000 comic book in New York City and then lug that thing around. I mean, we usually stay pretty close to the convention center, but still.
And the X-Men 1, I know is one that you're looking at. I'm looking at it too, but it's man, depending on what your preference is, it's like a vintage card. I mean, it could be a 3.0, but there could be a 2.0 that you like better, depending on what's on the surface of it. If there's writing on it, if it's faded, whatever your priorities are.
I would take a 1.5 if it presents clean. Swaggle House has a first appearance of Thor in a 1.5, and it presents gorgeous. It looks like a 5 to 6.0, but the back cover is ripped. There's a whole chart missing out of the back cover. I would take an X-Men 1 that looks like his first appearance of Thor in a 1.5 in a second over most 2.0s and 3.0s, because it would look it presents amazing. It's a gorgeous book, but that's like a needle in a haystack on top of everything else. So that's kind of the big thing. I think I just kind of want to knock that one off the list. It's just going to take some discipline on my part to not chase dumb stuff between now and then.
Smaller things.
And to potentially move off some other stuff,
totally.
Sell a couple cards, maybe sell some sealed wax or whatever, or just be disciplined. I could do it one of two ways: either remain very disciplined and try not to spend money for a few months and save up, or liquidate a few items to free up cash, depending on how I wanted to handle it.
Do you have any content goals for 2024?
No. Survive.
All right, Steve, we'll go to you next, and then I'll go last.
What are we on? Content goals or grail cards?
Content goals. For me, my content goals for Steve are just make more than
just
three.
Get a couple videos out.
Can I get a live drive out of you?
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, just increase my video content output. It's
we get once every 2 weeks. Can we get some sort of commitment from you for 2024?
Well, I mean,
throwing slabs in the pool.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't know how to say this without sounding a certain way. Right now, I'm more concerned with some of my life goals. Now I get that content.
Oh, and we're not?
No. What I'm saying is content is a bigger part of your guys' life than it is mine. I mean, to be fair, Your channels are bigger. You use your platforms for different things than I use mine for. So right now, with my time stretched thin, because there's other things that I'm doing, the content gets put on the back burner for me. Would I love to have more time to be able to do more content? Yes. I'm not doing content because I dislike doing content. I'm just not doing content because it doesn't fall up in there with the priorities of things that I need to knock out in my day.
You got a tough schedule too. You're doing the overnight. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah. My job flipped the script, completely flipped me upside down on my schedule. I have to get a certain amount of sleep. I wasn't sleeping well for a long time. I let my health go to shit. I've tried to be back in the gym, get more healthy, more family time. The getting the new house really is a lot more work. So it's just kind of like I wish I could do more content. It's just there's only so many hours in a day, and I got to prioritize it. And it's not that I dislike doing it. I look forward to our live streams every week because it's a chance for me to get out and talk about some content. Also, to be honest, when the football season is over, I'll be able to get out more content because I spend so much of my spare time researching my fantasy lineups weekly and keeping up with injuries and setting lineups and stuff. Because when I get in these fantasy leagues, I want to win, right? So, and 3 out of my 4 leagues, I made the Final Four in. 2 of them were for good, large amounts of money. And the other one was the YouTube league. And then another one, I made it to the bubble, and I was the bubble team, and I was out of the playoffs. But so there for 2024, I do hope to get more content out. There'll be content from Atlanta. The Atlanta show will probably get me rolling again because it'll get me back excited and have more excitement around the hobby and what I'm doing within it. And I'll go from there and see if I get like a jump started to do more content. Hopefully I do. And hopefully I find the time to be able to do it. But I don't plan on ending my channel and taking my videos down or anything like that. It's not like, hey, I've quit, I'm done with it. It's not like that. It's just, I'll put about a video when I can. And I'm sorry if people are waiting for videos and they're not coming out, but eventually I hope to get to where I can. And as I start to knock off some of these other things on my list at home and things like that I'm trying to accomplish, then the content will start to move its way back up on the priority list of things that I need to do. So that's just kind of it in a nutshell. And then hopefully, I know it's probably not the answer. It's not the exciting answer or the answer that some people may want. Some people may be happy. Good. I don't have to watch his videos anymore. I can watch Dustin instead. So they should be watching us anyway, but I'm just saying.
I don't think that's the reaction.
Right. And that's not to say like your guys is what you guys do with your content, because everybody approaches their content differently. So it's not like me judging how anybody does their content. It's just for me personally right now, getting out the videos just isn't there.
All right. So, well, fair enough, Steve. I'll go next. So yeah, it's going to be kind of the same as usual, I think, going into 2024. I do have the second channel that's dedicated to all the things that are not sports cards, collectibles, dad. So just like sports card dad, but just collectibles dad. If you guys want to check that out, I'll go ahead and plug it. But yeah, outside of that, I think it's just going to be kind of the same sorts of things. Try to do some collabs when I can, but kind of like you, Steve. I can barely get out, even though I think Rob and I have it kind of down pat to where we can crank out an 8 to 12 minute video fairly quickly. That's about all that I can do. Like I do get requests and I also want to collab with people and do a live stream, but it's just like my nights, it's very difficult to be able to do something at night, with everything we've got going on. Usually I wake up around 5 a.m. and then I usually crank out my video by, 7, 8 a.m. a lot of times. And that's all done. Sometimes it's later in the day if I'm busy with other stuff, but it's all I can really do. I think from a time standpoint, is just to kind of continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And it's super commendable because even when I was putting out maybe 2 videos a week, 3 at a tops, I could just never understand how people could get out a video every day. Not because I didn't want to, but I just felt like, man, this is not easy. I'm doing 2 to 3 videos a week. It's not easy. And
I just like
Right.
I talked to Frank, the imaginary guy that helps me. I talked to Alf now. I got an Alf doll from, the Riley Card Show. I've got one of those like stuffed animal Alf things. So now I'm talking to him. So part of it is just like, hey, I can be dumb and goofy on this video, and that's kind of a release for me. With like when you have all the other things in life where that's very serious. Like my channel is not serious. My channels are not meant to be serious. So that's just a release. That's it.
Right.
But it's work. It's work. You're right. But just, I guess, fun work. I think Rob would probably say the same. It's fun.
Oh,
work.
yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
Right. And that's
the day
like
it starts to feel like a job is the day that I'll be like,
Yeah. Yeah. And that was
there
always
are
my
some weeks though
too.
where I'm like, do I really want to post daily?
Yeah. And then also, I mean, we've got some opportunities where we have, built it up a little to where we've got some sponsorship dollars, we've got some YouTube money to where, hey, it's helping to pay for purchases. It's helping then it's motivation of like, okay, well, if I can continue that, then I can save up and get this book or this, this card or whatever. So that's added motivation, I think, too, just that piece. I don't want to, downplay that part of it.
To address Cards and Comics is a good question for us that's related to this at 1017.
10-17.
I'll never do scripted content. It's just not my thing at all. I might do long form, but I will never do scripted.
What is scripted? Like that would be like
you're literally writing out a script.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, but it's like long form scripted. I guess the way mine is I've got like 2 or 3 bullet points, and it's like, all right, this is what I'm talking.
No, he's just long form or scripted. So I think more like probably focused, less kind of. I don't want to say all over the place, but.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of like us when we come into a live stream. We might have a couple talking points, but we have no idea how we're going to answer or discuss those talking points.
The problem
ahead of time.
Yeah, it feels like scripted is the problem is I think the viewer can see right through that. I think like part of the magic of YouTube, and I'm not saying that I'm good at this. I have a long way to go. I think with this, I could do a lot better with it, but it's kind of just let it flow a little bit more and just let let your personality go, say the dumb thing. Sometimes I'll let it go. One time I was like yelling at my dog and I kept that part in so people would be like, what the hell was that? He just like yelled at his dog out of nowhere, but I think that's what's fun about YouTube is being able to just kind of throw those random things in and leave the viewer like, what the hell was that? And that's part of it. So, but it's, so it's scripted, and that's where I think there's a struggle. If you look at like Golden, they got a channel, or PWCC, they've got a channel. No one's watching it. Like you look at a lot of that stuff and it's
not authentic.
It's high production, but it's not, it's not, yeah. I mean, kind of what you said there. It's just kind of like, all right, it's mapped out. Everybody's got their kind of like talking points, but it doesn't keep viewership because there's not enough randomness to it. And so that's something I think that I'm always working on. Steve, I know that you do that. Like you're throwing slabs in a pool. Rob's doing that, like part of it, you got to mix it up a little bit, keep people kind of on their toes.
With it, I think you just got to, what was always so important for me was trying to remain relatable to my viewers. And that's my viewers that come back and watch my videos, every time I put one out, not somebody that stops in for a giveaway and leaves, or, comes in for a top 10 list and leaves, but my viewers that I see all the time. And when I used to do my live streams and I would see them all the time was just to remain relatable to them, because most of the time people watch you and they have their favorites because they relate to you somehow, or they can say, that's just an ordinary guy, just like me. So I'm not trying to, I never wanted to get into the high editing and the high quality and buying fancy cameras and things like that, because that's not who I am. I would be changing who I am, and then I would be losing my relatable viewers for like superficial viewers, and that's not what I want. So that's why channel growth was never super important to me, because I had the handful of people that they came back all the time for my content, and I appreciated them, and that's what I cared about. And it's the people that we see in the chat every night. I'd like to throw this question at them. Is there anybody out there that ever thought about wanting to do content and just didn't for whatever reason. Maybe you're shy, maybe it's too much work, maybe you don't have the time. Completely understandable. That's where I'm at. Or maybe you're going into 2024 and you're saying, you know what, finally this new year, I'm going to pull out my cell phone, I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to share it on YouTube. I mean, is there anybody out there who ever has aspired to do that or wants to do that? I know some people in the chat do that already, but is there anybody that that would like to? Because you can feel free to ask me for any kind of advice. Not that I'm the super content creator, but you know, it would be cool to see some of your guys' faces on the other side of the camera and giving us your thoughts and not just always listening to our thoughts. You know, to be quite honest.
I'll check this out, Jason. Comic Trope, Great Scripted Channel, for example, or Nostalgia Critic. Now, let me back up a little bit, because if you're talking about kind of like, if you're talking about scripted to where it's kind of like a documentary, I've watched these on like retro video games or on, you know, a variety of different topics like 80s nostalgia or 90s nostalgia stuff. They're highly produced and very well done. So if that's what you're talking about when you're talking about scripted stuff, I love that stuff. So I think it can be done really well. But I guess if we're talking, it depends on the topic, and it depends on how they're attacking that topic. It can be really interesting if you're talking about kind of that document, like a documentary, and mapping out kind of how things started and walking through all of it. I've seen that where it's like, you know, Thundercats, you know, like nostalgia, talking all about whatever, how it got started, and it's all scripted out, and it's fantastic. So if that's what you mean, I really like that stuff. I guess I'm talking about more commentary type things where you're opining on like random news, you know, whatever, or hobby topics or whatever. Trader Griffs is here for Crazy Daisy, and that's it. Where is Crazy?
Where is she? I'm not sure. I still have a video that I didn't upload that actually does have a little bit of Crazy Daisy in it.
I like what AP said here. This is actually important. This is a good comment, because I've kind of gone back and forth on this. Like, is it okay now to kind of come back with like plays? You know, remember like how, and I'm not saying like plays, like sign up for my newsletter, you know, where it's like pay for plays. I'm talking about more of just like, you know, I like this particular player, I'm, you know, buying this or buying that or whatever.
I think that's such a slippery slope.
Yeah. I never really
still though, like now, because it's just not a frothy environment.
I mean, honestly, I never shied away from that, because I never told anyone. In fact, most of the time I told people not to go out and do what I was doing. My channel was always based around what I was doing. So if I was buying a player or B player, player A, player B, I was showing it on my channel because it's what I was actually doing. It wasn't what I was telling somebody else to do. I wasn't like, hey, I think this player is going to go up in value, go buy him. I was just kind of like, I bought some of this player because I'm gambling on potential. You know what I mean? So
I guess what you're getting at is, even if you're not buying the card, and I think that's
right.
I think that's another thing that you could say too. If you're going charts and graphs, I mean, as long as you're disclosing, like, I don't own any Jason Tatums, but man, they seem pretty cheap right now. Like, is that a bad thing? Like, you're looking at historical data.
Like how passionate are you about that play if you're not even making it? But you have the audacity to go on a video and say people that they should buy this, but you're not doing it yourself.
Well, it goes both ways. It's either you're buying the card and you're pumping and dumping, or you're not buying it and you're not in the game. So which is
I choose option C and just don't make that content.
Okay. Well, I think, but AP brings up a good point though. Would that be kind of would that be fun content to watch? Somebody saying
it
like,
might be, but I, as a content creator, I don't want to deal with the headaches that go with making that style of content anymore. Right. Yeah, we all made those videos back in the day.
You made them a lot more than we did, Rob. But anyway, let's move on. Are you guys liking and learning anything from SCV Cards and his videos? I mean, 15,000 on eBay feedback. That's pretty impressive. I like the SCV is different and takes chances with his topics. He's all over the place. One of his titles was like talking about someone's marriage ending. I clicked on it immediately. Who's not going to watch that? And then, but when you dive into it and you listen to what he's saying, it's not that he actually ended somebody's marriage. It was basically that he was whining to his wife about how, like, he watched this SCV video and he got all worked up about it. And basically what he was saying is, it's probably not a great idea to whine to your wife because eventually she's probably going to leave. Fair statement. fair statement. Women don't want to listen to men that whine. It's just it's not a thing that women are interested in. So I was like, that was kind of a creative little titling way of doing things. I thought that was good. Plus I like the fact that he's brought attention to actually like winning on flips with like Bowman U and on, kind of all the draft stuff, because we don't have any NFL cards for these guys. And then also just kind of the exclusive autos and that sort of thing. But that's not something that I had really even thought about until I watched his channel. So that's kind of cool. I like that he brought that to the table. Was kind of funny because he blasted me on a post because Rob, didn't you see that? Wasn't that like one that you shared to me, or I
didn't share it with you. Someone else did in the Discord, but I saw it.
Yeah. So somebody he was using my logo and was basically like making fun of him in his comment section. And then he put a community post up. Here's the a-hole that was talking about me. And then it had like a picture of my channel. And I just commented on it like, hey, somebody's just using my logo. And then about 5 minutes later, I got an email from him that was like, my bad, dude. So it was all good. But I like SCV. He's 21.
He's got a good shtick. He's entertaining to watch.
He's 21.
Even though I don't agree with like what he's saying in some cases.
Yeah, sure.
He's still entertaining to watch for 10 minutes.
Exactly. I mean, 95% of YouTube is just, it's supposed to be entertainment. That's really what you're after. I mean, I know that there's an informational piece to it as well, but for a guy like him, he's just sharing strategies and trying to entertain you. Like that's it. Steve, have you seen his stuff?
Yeah. Because we've talked about it.
We talked about it last time. Yeah.
I used to watch like all of his videos when they came out every day. Now it just kind of, it now depends on the title, what the subject matter is going to be. And yeah, I watch his content and it's entertaining. I don't agree with all the takes, but I don't think any of us all ever agree with each other. And, and that's not to say that some of his takes are really good. Some of them are, I'm not going to say that they're bad or that they're wrong. They're just maybe a different approach than myself or my own personal thoughts. And that's super fine, because if everybody was the same, we'd be a bunch of robots. So, yeah, I like his content. A lot of his content when it comes to flipping cards and stuff is just kind of, I guess I would say for myself, I don't want to say common sense, but it's always been kind of an approach that I took in the beginning. He buys and flips cards that a lot of other people aren't buying and flipping. And I always used to say, I'm looking to buy and sell stuff that nobody else is buying and selling. Was I doing Bowman U or Leaf? No. But was it the same strategy? Was I looking for other cards that other people weren't grading and selling? Yes. So it's not the same actual products, but it was the same approach, as in I want to be buying and selling what other people aren't buying and selling, because then I eliminate my competition. If everybody is buying and selling the same thing, I want to be buying and selling I want to be the guy over here doing something different. So yeah, that approach right there is something that a handful of us have been doing for a while, and have talked about it, just not to maybe in the detail that he does,
And I think it shows too, there's still that race, because a lot of what he's doing is it's buying new product, getting it to PSA. He's a PSA guy as quickly as possible, turning it around as quickly as possible, flipping it, moving on to the next thing. That's and there's still, even with, and one thing that's interesting too is he talks about there's not as much opportunity in Panini and Topps, for a variety of reasons. And so it's something that's different and unique.
Yeah.
All right. Jay watches us each for different reasons. For me, it's probably just because of the Alf guy I've got next to me. There's one commonality. I like to listen to different opinions and takes on normal topics. And that's normal. Look, if you go back to 2020, there was not a lot of commentary on cards. There was not a lot of channels on it. Now there's a lot of it. Even with people leaving. I know people have been saying like a lot of content creators are leaving, which is true. But then there's new ones like an SCV that pop up. There's a lot more card hobby talk than there was going back 3-4 years. A lot more. All right, guys. We are at the 90-minute mark. And you know what that means? It's like the witching hour for me. So unless we've got something that is that we're dying to talk about. Is there anything in the chat? I'm at 10:23, so I'm only 9 minutes behind. Anything popping up?
Anything new?
Anything you want to throw out into the universe?
No.
Wow, this is getting dark and weird here at the end of the night, guys. Did the Cavs win? Rob, are you paying attention? Or
the Cavs.
Are you watching the Cavs fourth quarter?
I mean, the Cavs might be in the fourth quarter. They may have closed the lead on Dallas with like 5 minutes to go.
He hasn't been involved. He hasn't been talking for hasn't been paying attention for like 20 minutes.
Oh, I thought something was interesting, and I shot you guys this message on Instagram today. Prism basketball, now it is like from 2 seasons ago, was on clearance in Walmart today.
Oh, is that old Prism stuff? I didn't know exactly what that was.
Yeah, it's the Cade Cunningham rookie year.
Cade Cunningham stuff.
So, but regardless of the year, when Prism is coming out and being put on the shelves, especially when that was coming out, because that's a little prior to things cooling off some, things had cooled off, but, it's crazy to walk into a Walmart, especially for where we're coming from over the past few years, and to see Prism basketball, I don't care what year it is, with clearance stickers on it. I don't know. Like we always thought, I can understand if it was Chronicles or something else like that. But I mean, Prism basketball hanger packs in my Walmart today, big box of them, all with $7 clearance stickers on them.
Did you buy them?
I bought 2. I left all the rest of them, and I bought 2 because maybe, not maybe. I just will give them away eventually on the channel. I was actually going to do this earlier and give them.
Remember the days when it was like carts full of cards? Man, you should have done that, Steve. You should have bought all the $7 clear, like filled up the entire.
It was just. I mean, I know it's retail, and I don't know even if there's anything good in it. If there's any potential, I don't know even what that rookie class has done. But to think that it's from like at least, have they put out 2 products since that year? Rob, you would know probably better. Have they put out Paolo Banchero Prism yet? Okay, so last year's Prism is out, right?
Yes.
So
we don't have Victor Wembanyama yet.
All right, so basically that's not last year, but year before product.
To this point, Prism Football 2023 has been on Target's website for 6 days now and still hasn't sold out for blaster boxes.
Really?
For CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
that's
I just checked. They're still in stock.
How much are they?
I think $30. They went up last Friday and they're still in stock.
So you think that's because
I hate money and I hate myself. So
you think that's because of the
that's why you don't have an X-Men 1.
Do you think that's because of the watered downness of retail product, or do you think it's just a lack of interest in general?
I don't know, because Prism hobby boxes are probably going to go crazy and breaks for $800 to $900 a pop. But
yeah,
and there's no autos for Stroud or Levis or Bryce Young. So not that Prism's an auto product, but still, like that hurts it.
Mm-hmm. But I guess you can still pull silvers in different colors and
I mean the color matter more in Prism almost than the autos, but still the fact that there's no. Like you'd think the cost would come down a little bit with none of those guys having rookie autos in it, but it's more expensive than ever.
It's just weird because if you told me 2 or 3 years ago, you'd be able to walk into Walmart and Prism, any Prism product, even soccer, was on clearance, it would be crazy. You know what I mean? Like if this year's product was to come out and they were to print so much of it and throw it on the shelves, and with the market being down, it just sat and sat and sat, I would get it, but this is older product.
Yeah, that's weird.
That was 2021 was a really bad rip. For one, it was a nasty opening. The quality control was terrible, and the product was super watered down. And that draft class has fallen apart.
Yeah, but it probably hasn't gotten any better.
Cade Cunningham's on a 27-game losing streak. Evan Mobley's hurt. Scotty Barnes had a good rookie year, sucked last year, and he's actually really good this year. And then I'm blanking. Oh, Jalen Green's been a disaster. So that hasn't helped that product either.
But still, before, I mean, hindsight 2020. I'm just saying the product when it hit the shelves, you would have thought would have been gone
Yeah, not really though, because you got to
because
remember
nobody knew how
that
these
was
guys were going to be.
that actually hit the shelves like a year ago. The market was in a pretty crappy place when that hit the shelf.
So this would be an example of product coming out too late, hurting sales, as opposed
100%.
to as opposed to the speculation before the rookie class even gets to play. So unless the rookie class does it well, like right now, going into the NFL season, people wouldn't have been chasing CJ Stroud cards as much. It was Bryce Young. I don't even have Bryce Young's coming out. Hindsight being 2020, CJ Stroud is carrying that product. So, that's wonder how much, if at all, it's hurting the companies by getting their product out late. I know it's pissing off customers, but
you think Stroud being out of the lineup, like as it's coming out, you think that's part of it? Like if he was lighting the world on fire and playing, like maybe that's kind of just slowed down the hype.
Well, he got a little hurt. They lost Tank Dell. That kind of affected him a little bit. I don't think the Houston kind of fell off the whole, the buzz about them winning a bunch of games. But
like if Prism dropped after his 5 touchdown game, remember that where like all of a sudden we got autos being released on Tops Now, like, and they're selling out. If Prism dropped that week, it's probably all sold.
Well, Neo had a big CJ Stroud card, right? Was that from which Tops? Didn't you have one of the Tops autos?
It was a Panini Instant.
Panini Instant, and it graded a 10 for you, and that was a big card. Has that card moved up or down since you've sold
One
it?
hasn't sold since it went crazy.
Okay. So
Like
people probably
where a bunch sold super high, and now everyone's kind of like holding the bag.
Right. That's what I was ready to say.
Transact one at current. If one sold today, it would sell for quite a bit. Like if someone auctioned one today, it would go for way less than what the last one.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. People are probably not wanting to sell now because they're probably taking a big loss on what they bought it for, which sometimes pays off, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes it's smarter to cut your losses, but sometimes.
Yeah, I sold that card like 1 week too early. I definitely left money on the table, but I'm still fine with. I'm not going to confuse the outcome with the decision.
But if you waited a couple weeks late, then it would have hurt you even worse.
Yeah, in this climate, you take what you can get. That's not.
When you could turn $300 into a $2,000 profit.
Yeah,
don't get cute
all day.
Sports Shack likes to say, "Don't be stupid."
Yep, don't be stupid. All right, guys, I think it is time to wrap it. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining tonight. Chat was lively per usual. Mike Petty, Orlando, Michael Ham popped in. Cards and Comics popping in. Trader Griffs.
Swags.
Too many to count. Swags was in here. Jay, we appreciate you guys always showing up for us. You are awesome. And we appreciate you watching our channels when you can. We will see you back in 2 weeks. And that will be, 10 days before Atlanta?
Oh, wow. Really? Atlanta's coming up pretty fast, huh?
Yeah, we'll have a whole pre-Atlanta show ready to go. And Rob's going to
make the obvious joke that you'll see him next year.
Oh, well, go ahead. Just take it. Go ahead, man.
You're the dad. You're
the co-host. You're co-host.
Also, anybody in chat, if you guys are in Atlanta, if you're not at our next live stream, just to say now, hey, if you're in Atlanta and you're at the show, come up and say hi, man. Come up and say, hey, Steve, what's up?
Yeah.
I always will try to make time to talk to any of the viewers. I always do.
You might see Steve and I take the court against Seablez and these suckers out here trying to think that there's some sort of celebrity.
All right, man.
The fact that it's like content creator, celebrity BS basketball game.
Yeah, here, right. His mouth writing checks, his body can't cash.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. I think that's a good place to end it right there. Yeah. Just cut a promo and end it.
I hope they have oxygen tanks standing by.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to need the whole setup, but I mean, we'll play, but we're going to need the whole setup. All right, guys, we will see you next year. Have an amazing 2024 ahead. Let's kill it. Let's kill it next year. All right.
Happy New Year, everybody.